check this every day, just checking we alive. I don't know why I'm singing that. Don't know what it says. 6 minutes. Okay, but we are in here and we are doing it. Hello everybody and welcome to day 3. We're right in the middle of it. So I hope the last 2 days have been pretty easy to understand, or if not, you've been able to gain at least some knowledge from them. I know that sometimes if a lot of that information is new for you, it can be a lot to take on, but what I have learned is when we listen to things, we're going to absorb exactly what we need to in that moment. So if right at that moment you were needing to absorb certain things, that would come in. If you came back and listened to it again when you were in a different mind frame, or had a bit more of deeper knowings or understandings or new learnings, when you listen to videos that people have done in the past, you are going to download it differently or hear different things, or get it. And I find that a lot excuse me, through my days, is that it's like, I knew that, like, I'll know something now, but in a month or two I will really know it. Then, like, in a few months later it's like, oh my god, now I really know it. Or you'll get it in a totally different way. So don't worry if there's things that you don't understand, things you don't believe, things that you're not even interested in. Whatever you need to listen to and hear is exactly what you need in each and every moment. Now today, all the topics we're talking about today are based on my own opinion and my own interpretation. So like with all of it, you just need to sort of take on board what you feel is true for you, butt it up against your feel, and try out some of that truth testing or that energy testing to what I'm saying, and just pick up the pieces that may feel real for you, or things that you may want to even explore a little bit more on your own, and see if you can get your own answers to things, because it's taken me a while to get here. I did follow a lot of other people's ideals, their own beliefs and truths, and it's like that collective energy of when one person says something that they believe to be true, and then suddenly this person over here is saying the same thing, because they're like, oh yes, I believe that too. And then someone else is like, oh my god, yes, me too. And then all these people start all joining this person, and they're like, oh my god, I believe this too. And all these people suddenly believe it, and then it originally was a belief, but now it becomes a knowing, because all these people now believe in whatever this thought or idea was. So it has to be true, it has to be real, because it's not just one person thinking or saying it, it's this whole group of people. And I think that's where a lot of the information and a lot of things that sort of come into our life and into our world is because of based on a history of these ideas that would have sparked from one person, and all these other people jumping on board and listening and believing into these as well, which is fine. They could be 100% true. That's where they become those truths, and that's where they become their knowings. And I was one of those people who followed all those things as well and thought that I needed to do that. But as I've become more in tune with myself and sort of leading myself down my own unique path, I'm finding that a lot of those mainstream things don't feel real for me. And at first I was like, oh, it's because you want to be different, because I've always had this feeling that I don't want to be like everyone else. I'm not doing the same thing as everyone else. Like, I don't want to copy that yet. However, I was still actually copying people, but I really had to sort of sit into, am I trying to be super different and thinking the opposite of what everyone else is? Or is this something that is really true for me and something that I do really believe in? And it comes back to that energy and that truth testing of tapping into to your own knowings, to your own beliefs, to your own trusting in the response that your body and your feelings are giving you when we're talking about certain topics and ideas. And this is where my truths that come from, is from being able to tap into it and feel into it, and really get in tune with what I believe my yeses and nos are. And like I've said before, this can change. I can be saying you something that I believe right now that this is true, and tomorrow I could change my mind, and that's fine. So I do feel like I still want to share my beliefs on these things, and you can make your own answers, your own decisions, based on, you know, what I'm saying or what you find true for you as well. So where shall we start? So in the last 2 days, we've spoken about how we are human with our soul, right? And this soul is connected to an entire consciousness, which is infinite and complete all at the same time. So a human body is here on earth. We are living in this 3D experience. Our goals are to get to this 5D experience, which is basically us overcoming and working through our layers, beliefs and stories, and learning and utilizing how to connect deeper with our soul self, our higher self, our collective sort of consciousness, and, you know, being all that we can on this earth right now so that we can live a life towards the best life that we can have, with the best feelings, understandings and knowings, and, you know, just sort of really enjoying this life that we're here now. But as you will know, there are things that happen in this 3D human earth experience that aren't fun. And there are big things that happen, little things that happen. There are people in power or in influential states that make decisions or do things that feel ridiculous. And I'm not going to go into all of them. We can look at a very obvious one, which was something that put, you know, the whole world into a lockdown, if you will, for a long period of time, and is still ongoing. If we look at those situations, there is an element, and everyone believes different things. The way that I see it, there is a energy of not so positive and not so much wanting us to move towards our highest timeline or having the greatest life that we can. There is a force or a being, a knowing that is the opposite of all these things that I'm talking about. And whichever way you're going to look at it, because in this one consciousness existence, part of, I want to try and say this in the right words because I don't want to distort it in any way. So I'll just go back a little bit. This is something that Abraham Hicks talked about, and this is a really easy way to describe what I'm going to talk about. So this is a pen, right? I talk a lot about the pen. It's because it's closest to me. So just say this is the good end of the pen, and this is the bad end, right? So this is the balance and the duality that we know exists in this world, or that we believe exists in this world. So there is good and there is bad. There is happy, there is sad. There is up, there is down. And we look at these things as a true duality nature. We look at things and we label them whether they are going to be good or whether they are going to be bad. And we put them in these categories of duality. So if we're feeling sad, then it's like, oh, but I want to feel happy. So we're trying to move to the other end of what these scales are. And I know we spoke about that with vibration, but this is just a different point of view I want to make. Even though we have this happy over here and the sad over here, it is still part of this pen. So on a whole full basis of this pen, the good and the bad are still this pen. Whether it's leaning towards the good or leaning towards the bad, it is still a pen. And this is where that whole duality comes in, the good and the bad, but together, and seeing this as a pen is the non-duality. And in this life we do have this balance of good and bad, and a lot of people really try to focus on balancing out those two ends of that pen. It's like with the masculine and the divine, or the happiness and sadness, even though we want to try and get to the goodness. But the whole part of getting to that 5D consciousness or that higher consciousness state is being able to remove that distinction or that diversity of the one or the other, or that balancing. What happens is when we get to that higher state and that higher vibrational beingness of everything, we don't see the ebb and flow. Even though we're working in an ebb and flow and we're feeling and we're working through it and we're trying not to sit too hard on sort of one end of the scale, when you are in that high vibrational oneness, full connection with yourself, this is just one. It's the good and the bad. It's still balancing, but we're seeing it as a oneness. It's everythingness. So based on that ideal, part of this world that we live in, even though we are working through these ebbs and flows and balancing out these emotions and things that happen in our lives, or the way that our emotions are, or the way that we're acting, we're trying to balance out these good and these bad and the giving and the receiving. It's the same with what's going on in this world. So whilst you could look at people and go, oh my goodness, they are doing so much good in the world, there are also people who are doing so much bad in the world. And I'm just using these labels just for image sake. I'm not labeling anything as good or bad, because remember, we're trying to get to that non-duality state of knowing that even though there are two ends of that pen, it's still just a pen. So the idea is to get to that state where we can see the ebb and flows, but we don't see it as an extreme to one end or the other. We are just trying to get into that oneness state of observing, being and doing as a oneness of it all, and not giving the labels to it. And I can talk more about that a little bit later, but it's then seeing all the good things that are happening in our life and our bad things in exactly the same way. And that's the key to your spiritual enlightenment. But having said that, what I was trying to talk about, and I've got right off the sidetrack here, is that we have those bad things happening around us. There are bad things and bad people that are around us, within us, working, for some of those places in power. They are the driving force behind this 3D existence. And I know yesterday I mentioned where there are people who do believe in that big story of there being other collectives who have taken control of the moon, which is hitting the earth with this frequency, which is keeping us from 5D into 3D. And whether you believe that or many other stories that are out there, I actually haven't come to a conclusion on that, because honestly it doesn't really matter. I just focus on what I need to do. It doesn't matter how it came about or what's happening. I'm just focusing on me. But the way that that is looked at, the belief behind that is also there is what they call the nefarious seven, and there is a group of 7 collectives that are the ones that are trying to keep us in this 3D. They want us not to ascend to the 5D for their own reasons, and I've heard many different ones of what the reason behind it is. And you know, it started off as like an experiment or an experience, or they didn't want certain people to grow in certain areas. And there's a lot of collective back end stories, like you know, the history of Lemuria or Atlantis. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, I'm not going to get into these stories here. You can look it up, but if you want, I can probably dive into it a little bit. But there's a lot of distortion, and because everyone has their own beliefs and their own stories, there's a lot of different opinions about it and sort of what went on. But you are welcome to do your own research. But based on that, there is an element, all collectives, all collective elements that are trying to keep us in this 3D. They are giving us these situations and experiences in our world globally, not just individually, for things that are happening to us. They're happening on a bigger scale, like a recent world-like type event, which is still ongoing, to bring us back down. And how do they do that? It's by us buying into all this stuff that happens. And I didn't want to get into this too much, but I think I do need to speak about it, because when these things happen, and I know we've had over the last few years a lot of big sort of global movements that are things, and we're like, what? Like, they are so silly, ridiculous, make no sense. How do these people in power make these choices and make these decisions when the people down here are like, no, don't do that. That's just silly. But if we look at it from that point of view, that there are these collectives and they are these beings that are bringing us into this 3D, we can see why these situations are playing out. So when something big happens, and I'll try and use an example that's more, okay. So let's think about when Trump was voted in as a president, even though I'm Australian and it didn't really affect me in any way. So just say that situation happened, right? He was voted in as president of the United States. And the way that I see consciousness and the way that we exist is these moving strands of colours that ebb and flow and move around and do all this wonderful things. We'll talk more about that when I get over to that section. But because it's all connected and everything exists together as one and totally connected to each other in some way, whether it's here to here or here to way over there, in some way it's all connected, right? So the way that I would see a situation of like Trump, who got elected as president, right? So this is part of the energy scale. It's sitting over here. Let's use it like a little ball. It's a little ball with all these little connections onto it, right? This is Trump being elected. And then what happens when he got elected? You got all these little people over here saying, this is terrible, our world's gonna suck, blah 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 blah, you're bad, blah blah blah. All these people, so all this energy of all these people, because we're all connected, are all floating all the way over here and coming to click over here because they want to get in on this. But also, from the other side, we have these other little people coming in going, yes, this is the greatest thing ever. Oh, yeah, it's going to be so wonderful, blah, 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 blah. Guess what? They're all coming over here too. They're all coming from all their places. So we have this one situation. We're getting this good side and bad side, not labeling, giving you descriptive words, all attracting to the situation. So guess what? This little ball of energy that was like this, and I can't do that, you can't see the ball, like this, has suddenly become like this, because everyone's opinions, their energy, their power has now gone from where they were over here doing their own thing, and has now decided to spend time over here. So instead of us being over here, I can't even see my hand, doing our little whatever we need to be do over here, worrying about ourselves, we've decided to go and attach ourselves over here. And so what happens, this little ball of energy starts getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And when we talk about emotions, and I don't know if I even mentioned this, but the basis of manifestation is like attracts like. Your energetic frequency attracts other energetic frequencies that match. Think of it like a little magnet, and you get all those, those little magnet shavings, and it keeps following. So imagine it like that. So that's what that drum's doing. So everyone's attracting over here, and they're all doing this. This ball's become like this, right? So we got this huge ball, and because like attracts like, guess what? So that situation where someone has been elected that you're either happy about or not happy about, it's going to attract more of that. What is the energetic frequency that this is holding? It is holding both sides of that duality, that good and bad, depending which way you look at it. But because that situation brought in so much attention, the universe and all those energetic strands that I see is like, oh, people like that. Let's try and bring more of that. It's like, when your heart's bringing in more blood because you're doing energy or something. It's the same. So it's attracting more and more and more. So when these situations happen where they are not things that we would agree with, and we don't like what is happening, instead of giving it the attention that we give it, either whether it's good or bad, whether we are saying we agree or we disagree with it, we are still giving it attention. When we give it attention, we are making it bigger. As it becomes bigger, it's this big energy attracting ball. It's going to attract more of it. So when people start supporting things that are happening in this world in either a positive way or a negative way, you are attracting more of that original situation. So even though you think you're doing something good because you're getting on this train of, no, we're going to stand up to the government and we're going to show them what's right and this is wrong, you're actually doing it a disservice. You are actually just bringing more of it on. Our focus and our goal and the way that we can make our situation that we live in and this 3D world that we've been put in better is to focus on us. Any change we want out there and in this world starts with us. We are the ones who make those changes. We are the ones who are going to change everything. Us joining some movement that is going over to this situation over here, saying whether it's good or bad, is not changing the world. It is just bringing more of that to us. So if we detach from that and focus more on ourselves and the way that we react to these situations, the way that we respond to these situations, or find what those emotions are that we are feeling when these situations come up and work through that, we are doing so much more for that actual thing that is happening. And it's really hard to get a grasp on that. And I've only come to know that as I've been doing this work and as I've been, receiving more information, because if we don't look at it like this, we're just going to look at it like this. And when we look at it like this, we're never going to see the whole picture. And it's hard because I know so many people have their heart in the right place and they think they are doing the right thing by, picking a side and, moving towards movements to help the people, yet telling people that, no, don't do that, go work on yourself, that's going to fix it. It's not going to make sense. But because I can see it on that big scale, I know that the work that we do on ourselves, the work that we do for us is the thing that's going to make everything change, is the way it's going to ripple through our ancestral timelines towards our future timelines, you know, how it's going to change the frequency of the world that we live in right here, what it's like with the people around us, how our actions people look at and go, I thought we should have jumped on that thing that everyone's talking about, but she's not. I wonder why. Oh, maybe I don't have to. That's interesting. It opens up your eyes to another possibility. And so the negative beings that are out there that are trying to pull us back into this 3D, they don't want us to get up to this 5D. They are using all these tools. They are hopping into these powers that be and creating these events and situations for us to flock to. And if the response isn't what they need, they'll make bigger and better ones, but it's up to us to refract from that. And people talk about it as unhooking yourself from grids. If you look at the earth as similar to the way that I see it, but there are grids and lines, and the way that it's all sort of connected with the geometry and things like that, you will see that there are like what they call grids, which is like paradigms, thoughts, whatever you want to label or name you want to call it. It's like we're all hooked into that. We're all hooked into that. It's like when I was talking about working on our emotions, it's like a collective emotion. So we can have our own emotions, beliefs, etc. as us. Then there's also a collective level of beliefs where with these situations where we all hook into and go, no, the people stand for, you know, this race, or the people stand for this gender, or this sexual preference. That's a collective thought. That's the majority of what people think about the situation, and we call them grids. And you can actually unplug yourself from that grid, and it's not that you're being a heartless, mean old person and you're not interested in the betterment of humanity and the world around you. You are unplugging from that, so you are not following that collective belief. And once we can do that, we can center our own selves. We can go back to our own truth testing, our own energy testing, and find out exactly what is our own truth. What do we believe in? What is that triggering in us that I can work on? How can I heal myself? It's not up to us to heal everyone else. It's when we work on ourselves, we will automatically start to heal the people. We will start to raise the healing of the collective as well. Like I was saying yesterday, with when we're raising our vibration, we're raising the medium of, you know, the whole group of everything. It's the same when we're working on these emotions. We're unplugging from this grid and we're losing the attraction of these collective thoughts. There's the collective knowings and beliefs are dropping down as well to our own unique detachments from knowing that these situations and ideas are only here to give us the tools for us to work on something within ourselves. They're not here to make us angry or to make us upset about this world. They're actually tools, and that comes back to the balancing out the good and the bad. Instead of seeing it as the good and the bad, we're seeing it as just an experience, and it's an experience that's just for us. So this is really great once you get it, and it can be super hard to unplug, and sometimes you don't even know that you're plugged into these higher collective thoughts and beliefs until someone can bring it to your attention. But as you start to bring more awareness to your thoughts and beliefs and the way you're feeling to everything around you, it will really start to make more sense of what I am actually saying. And so that's what I'm talking about when the stories and things that come in that look really bad and negative. I want you to see if you can unplug. Are you hooking into the collective belief? Can you unplug? Is there something that you can work on for yourself? How is that making you feel? How can you release that? How can you work on that and move forward to your own truth and your own yeses and nos? Which then brings me on to some other topics, because part of being unlocking from that grid is finding your own truth. And the next thing I'm going to talk about is ascension, and it's right up along there with the 3D to 5D that we hear everyone talk about, and this whole new earth businesses. Ascension. Are you having ascension symptoms? Are you feeling it in your head, in your heart? Is everybody feeling that dizziness and the ringing in the ears? Whatever. Could be all true, I don't know. It's whatever you want to make it true. I don't believe that we need an ascension. We are definitely changing our belief system. We are changing the way that we feel and react to situations around us. We are detaching from giving these situations and the experiences labels, whether it's a negative or positive label. And if you want to view that as an ascension process, fine. I believe that the whole ascension process was something that someone created so that us humans, because we like having an end goal, we like having the steps to get there, we like being able to follow someone into doing something. So by giving us ascension, the word and the end goal and all these other things underneath that are going to get us up there, because we're looking at ascension as something where we're going up, where we are telling ourselves that we are not good enough where we are. We are telling ourselves that we need to get higher. We are telling ourselves that we need to go up. I don't think I need any of that now where I am. I think it's something that the humans have created for the humans, and I think part of believing in something like an ascension is hooking into a grid of a collective knowing or understanding. I believe if we continue to work on ourselves towards our own highest timeline of goals, it's never an up, it's just an out. And by the same way that I see the whole of consciousness and the whole way that we are being, we are just moving through it. We're not going up, we're not going down. And if we can see that our whole existence of consciousness is an everything all at once, which is infinite and complete, if we can get that into our human understanding, which is hard because we need that end goal, we need those steps, if we can retrain our poor little logical mind to believe that our end goal is there actually is no end goal. We are continually, and I hope I can describe this properly with words, because all I can do is see and feel, and it's really hard to put it in words. But if we can see it as these strands, imagine you're in the forest with lots of vines, but they're moving and you are flowing through them, but those vines never end. But they're fun vines, and everything that's happening is like, oh, wonderful experience. Oh, this makes me feel so good. Oh, this is so wonderful. Oh, man. If you can imagine that this is what your ascension is you feeling in that beautiful connected oneness, working towards something state, but it's never ending. It's continual, and it's not an up or down process. It's just, look, I'm dancing through the minds here. We're just moving through it. And if you can imagine that, and if you can start seeing it like that, there never is that huge, big end goal. It's just this continual feeling of yesness, this, is that even a word, of this, great experience. And by great, I mean it just feels good. I'm not giving it a good or bad experience. It just feels good. This feels right. This feels like the best thing I want to do right now. This feels like my biggest yes. This feels like my next step in expansion. And so instead of believing in an ascension, I believe that we continually just make these choices that are a right choice in that moment, the choice that feels the best for us, the choice that feels like we are expanding ourselves, that we are feeling that love for whatever it is. We are moving through this and we are enjoying every step of the process, no matter what it is. So it's just I'm using my hands, it's just like this flowy, beautiful thing. It's not this I'm here, I'm moving up here. No, that's a grid. That's a collective grid that you're all plugging into. This is my belief, of course, believe what you want. But if we look at it as that beautiful flowy state that is never ending, because if you think about it, if you think, I'm getting to ascension, okay, I'm on level 3 now, I'm nearly there. It's like you're just giving yourself these feelings and words and tasks that are just not going to make you feel good. Versus if you're looking at something where in every moment you are just making that right choice, you are making that right decision, you are moving through it so beautifully. It's not, oh, I'm up here, oh crap, I've fallen back down here. Instead of that, you are just going to feel like crap all the time. You're going to feel like you're not good enough. You're going to feel like you're not going to make it. You're going to feel like you're never going to get to that end. But if you're looking at it in that flowy, beautiful state, you are always making the right choice. You are always on the right path. You are always going exactly where you need to be, and everything is working out exactly perfectly how it needs to. And I think that's a way better way to look at it. And I know it's a little bit hard for our human brain to get there, but I'd love you to take that on board and see how that feels for you, and see if you can imagine that picture. Like, look at that picture of that. It's flowing through those beautiful vines instead of starting here and trying to get up here. That's what I believe on ascension. There's no such thing. Yes, we are getting to a better feeling state, but we're doing it like this. We're just expanding. We're not going up or down. Which leads me to my next big topic, and that's on our source connection. This one's really controversial, and I love it because it's similar to the whole ascension, I think, because on the beginning of my journey, when I am connecting to my own soul self, right? So we can connect to the earth. We can also connect to above. And to the above, I'm talking about out there. Sorry, just having some water. Which is our star beings, our galactic beings, our whatever it is out there. Like, it's easy to look and feel and know what we're talking about when we're talking about connecting to the earth, because we're on a planet. Here we are, we connect down, it's just one. But when you're connecting above, it's like, oh, there's so much out there. What's out there? I don't even know. It's never ending. It's huge. It's like so big that we don't even realize. Excuse me. So when I first started to connect to my soul self, and it was like, okay, find your source. Okay, I'll pick this star up here. I think that's it. Okay, yes, that star is sending me source energy through my crown. I don't believe in chakras either. I don't know if we'll have time for that. It's part of the same whole theory. It's to help the humans understand. So if we believe there is white light coming down from above, yes, sure, there is source energy coming in. You can feel it and let it come in however you like. And I know I use this for connectedness, where I do connect below and above. And there is source energy. And I could never find the right source energy. It was like, maybe I'm over at this star. No. Okay, what about this one? Ugh. What if I just generally go up there somewhere? And then all I was hearing was, well, you have to connect to a source. You have to come from somewhere. What do you feel most connected with? And then I would start watching people who were connected to their different sources, right? So it's like, okay, this guy's talking about his Lyran source, and he connects to the Lyrans. He has his own Lyran council, and he's channeling them. He's talking through them. He's bringing through all these codes, etc. And it's like, oh my god, yes, I totally feel that. I must be Lyran. Then I'll be watching someone else, and it's like, okay, so I'm connecting over to the Andromedans, and I'm bringing in their energy, and I'm channeling this, and I'm like, oh my god, I feel that as well. And then it was like, I'm connecting to nature. I'm feeling Mother Earth. The trees are talking to me. Like, oh my god, I feel that. Well, okay, now I'm really confused. Hang on a minute, but I can't feel connected to all of them. I have to pick one. Which one feels the strongest? Oh, maybe I'm making it up. I don't know. Which one should I connect to? And this is how I was feeling. And then when I brought in my light language, which I'll be talking about on day 5, it was told to me that it was a certain collective, which is really funny because when I started digging into it later on, the sounds that I was making does not sound like other people's Arcturian language. So that was the key that really made me sort of click onto all this stuff, and our beliefs and intentions are all different. All our knowings are different. All our understandings are different. But so when I had that click in as well, I was like, oh, well, I must be Arcturian. Okay, that makes sense. So all those other ones, I must have just been, making it up or something. And then it was like, but I still feel connected to it. And I don't do as many meditations as I should, but in the beginning I always felt myself in a center, and I was surrounded by all these different collectives, time periods, legendary stories. So it was like seeing dragons, fairies, Arcturians, the Romans, the Egyptian gods, dinosaurs, and I would always be in the middle, and I would see all these things like, what does this mean? And I know I did some sessions with some people, and it's like, oh, maybe you're a channel. Maybe you can channel all these different beings, because I talk about when we pull in these other collectives that sometimes they can be a version of you, sometimes they can just come in because they want to get a message out to the people, etc. I thought, oh, okay, but who am I? What am I? And then I was scrolling through Facebook, and someone was asking a question about trying to find their source, and they brought in this new collective, and they had this image of what they thought they looked like, and had it all up, and someone actually wrote, what if we are a multi-dimensional soul that is incarnating across many different reality, time, space, and dimensions all at the same time? And I was like, because when you get hit with things that your soul knows to be true, once you start removing all those layers of those beliefs and codings, you will feel it, and it will hit you like holy goddamn crapololi. Like, yes, that makes so much sense. It was like I had finally been given the permission to understand that even though I have my soul in here and I'm here right now, it's not that I'm just connected to one star point or one collective as my main being. I have a version of myself everywhere. So I have an Andromedan Anna, maybe not Anna, but my soul self. I have an Arcturian version of myself. I have a dragon version of myself. Although, however, I do have a few dragons, which is different collective dragons. We're not talking about that today. I have my own Earth Anna. I have my own Egyptian Anna. I have my own Atlantean Anna. Like, I am everywhere. And once I started believing in that and seeing that and feeling that, and it felt so good, I knew it to be true, because we're going back to our truth testing. because I was originally told, and this is by one of my favorite mentors that I follow, is that you have to have one source, and it's either we're connecting through the sun. So you'll hear a lot of people where they're talking about where they come up through those chakras and up through the sun, up through the greater sun, and they connect to their own source that way. You also hear people who connect to the earth. They have their earth connection, like they call themselves earth seeds. You can have star seeds, which are the ones that connect to stars. And then Andromeda, because Andromeda is like a different, I'm going to say this wrong, universal galaxy. It's separate to the other stars because they're all connected over here. Anyway, it's so big it doesn't matter. I believe, and this is my belief, that those things that I just spoke about is just like ascension. They are things that have been created for us to believe in, for something for us to hook into. It is a collective truth that we believe to be true. For me, and not everyone feels like this, but I know there are people who do, is I believe that I'm everywhere right now at the same time, and they're all part of my own soul. I don't identify with one source, with one star, with one sun, which one piece of the earth. I identify with them all. And one of the things that I do, it's only quite new though, is I try to pull in different versions of myself, or try to, so that I can see what they feel like, what knowledge can they give me, what feelings can they give me, what understandings can they give me, what knowings can I unlock. And there's a huge list of different collectives I want to pull in, and of course you're going to feel stronger to some. Not all of them want to be connected or want to be in your field all the time. I do have a few that sit in there all the time. I also have ones that can be difficult to pull in, and I may just get a message or some sort of codes or feelings or understanding, and they'll pop back out. But I do work on trying to pull that in, and it's really fascinating. And you can do it with, see, this is how I view like our past lives as well, because time, we talk about tomorrow, but because time exists right now as the past, present and future all at the same time, I believe that I have an existence of my soul self in different time periods as well. So when we're looking at our Akashic records, and we're going, because we're in 3D and we're looking at time as a linear, as a line, and we're here, this is our past, this is our future, and I'm going back and I am feeling hurt or alone, and I'm working on my emotions, and I'm looking for where else have I felt alone. And we always seem to go back. We go back to these past lives. But what if we have them in the future as well? What if we removed that past and future and we just expanded it out? And so instead of us looking backwards towards these past lives and seeing these versions, I'm looking at these existences of where I've had that feeling, not just in the past, but anywhere. So even though we sort of look to the collectives and the galactics and starseed essences as all-knowing, all-being, they're all experiencing as well. They're not like the be-all, end-all. Like, we can't look at the collectives, galactics, whatever you want to call them, as our future self, as our perfect versions of self, and then our past being all the bad self that we have to learn all our history from. Why can't we see it as a all existence type knowings, where we can draw on these emotions that we're trying to pull in and heal? So I can see myself go, oh, okay, I'm feeling alone and unloved. I will go back to the version of Anna possibly in Roman times, who's, you know, having a fight with her sword somewhere with someone, feeling all alone. Maybe I was lost on the battlefield, but at the same time, what if there's, you know, a dragon version of self, and they had some, you know, Orion wars up there, and I was feeling alone because I'd lost all my other dragons. So instead of sort of viewing all these different aspects of ourselves as either the past or the future or one or only, I see it as all of them, and I will try and pull on them for different things, different skills, different knowings. And it is still a process that I'm still going through and really trying to fine tune, but it's really fun in the discovery, and it feels a lot more true for me, is believing in that versus believing in just having that one source energy to pull in. So when I do sort of connect in, I don't connect up to one source, I connect up to the whole existence of everythingness, and bring that in through a Taurus field, which is a conversation for another day, because I really want to get to my last point, and I'm very mindful of keeping my time on time, which wraps it all up beautifully with the beliefs and intentions I wanted to speak about. Because when I was talking about all those stories and grids and collective consciousness, this is where our beliefs and intentions hook into as well. Because I now 100% believe that whatever I believe to be true is true. So when I tell you that this pen is black, I believe it to be black. If I told you this pen is orange, and I believe it with all my heart that it is orange, it's orange. You can't tell me it's not orange, because to me, this is orange. Like, you know, without even going down that rabbit hole, like, where do colours even come from? How do we even know what a colour becomes? How is it represented? It's because we learned as children, and it's our, you know, our eyes picking up the actual colour with our eyes and interpreting, our brains remembering that we were told that it was, you know, whatever the colour was, etc. But if we believe something to be true, I believe it to be true. If we believe that we can connect to galactic collectives, we can connect to galactic collectives. If we believe that we can make $10,000 in an hour, we can do that. It's whatever our beliefs are. So that's why it's so important when we are sort of creating this new life for us, and we are working through these beautiful flowy vines, that we are making these new intentions of the things that we really want. And when we make that intention of what we really want, we are going to really believe that that intention is true. And when we believe it to be true, it is going to be true, and that is exactly what's going to manifest. So the way that I am talking about these beings of codes and colors and essences that I see, we are just bringing it to us. So it all exists. If I said, you know, I wanted to be, I don't know, the President of the United States. Now, let's be real, that's pretty hard to do when I'm an Australian for a start. But just say you wanted to do that, like that exists somewhere in that whole scheme of everythingness, and it's just a matter of, you know, working through and getting there. Like, sure, I may not do it in this lifetime, I may come back and get there, but I'm laying the foundations towards it. So my belief is that all our beliefs and all our intentions are all we need to manifest the life we want, to get everything we want, to be everything we can be, is just by believing in it and knowing that it's true and knowing that it's for us. And to make sure that our intentions and our beliefs are rock solid and perfectly good for us, we need to really be in tune with our own truth testing, with our own finding yeses and nos, with our working out of what we really want, what's going to expand us, what's going to give us joy, how can we create, what are we going to make? Because when we sit in that fun, wonder and creation, expansion, joy, all these words, these are the words I use, these are the words that I sit in every day. It's truly what our existence is about, because if you can look at it, and I've spoken so much about it today, but if you can see it on this huge big scale of everything there, so if you can believe, and we need to make this a collective belief, is that if you believe that everything you want, everything you desire, everything that can happen has happened, everything that exists. If you can believe that it's all there, it's just a matter of tapping into it. So how are we going to tap into it? We need to get our energetic frequency to match that. So we're going to go all the way back to when I was talking about, this little presidential situation. Imagine if we called that situation, Anna earning $50,000 a week and creating new things every day and having fun and laughing and enjoying life and connecting with nature. If that's what I'm believing in, that's what my intention is, if that's what I'm building over here, and I'm feeling into that, I am removing all my emotions and coding, I am getting my vibrational state up, I am seeing what's hitting me and see what I need to release, what I work on, see what I need to let go of so I can get to this state. The more that I believe this, guess what? All those little things are going to start attracting to us, and that's how we start creating our new life. That's how we start living those things that we're already believing, those things that we're already intending. It is coming to us because we believe it, because we know it to be true, and it exists. It is out there in that field of infinite possibility. It is out there, and it's just waiting for us to go find it. And to go find it, we need to do that healing work. We need to work our way through those beautiful vines and walk along those new little paths and take these turns and go on that journey and enjoy the experience and love what we do, and really feel into every moment and just enjoy everything that comes to us through that beautiful journey of creation and expansion. That was a big conversation today, but I'm really excited to share it with you because it's really good being able to tell people your own beliefs, because you believe them to be true. When you believe them to be true, they will shine out like that. Because if I came out here and tried to tell you some of what the collective knowings and beliefs were, I'd be like, and my throat would hurt and I wouldn't be able to speak, and it would be really difficult. But when you're really into it, it's like, yes, I'm speaking my own truth. That comes back to our own truth testing and our own knowings and beliefs, and really sort of feeling into exactly what is right and true for us. But that is all I'm going to speak about today. We still have 2 more days left. Tomorrow, day 4, we're going to really do a deep dive into time, and I'm going to talk about some of those things when we do start connecting with the version of our higher self, and that is learning things like discernment, psychic attacks, tech. Yes, we can get implanted with tech, implants, etc. Protection, and why I don't use it. That's another collective consciousness I don't buy into. We're also going to talk about when we're learning these new skills, and we have a lot of questions. I'm going to talk about that of, the old, am I doing this right? Am I going crazy? We're going to talk about that. And we're all going to talk more about matching the vibrational frequencies to get what we want, which we did tap into today. That is tomorrow. And on day 5, we are going to talk about some of the collectives that I speak to and talk to. We're going to do a big deep dive into the light language, and then I'm going to talk about the beautiful universe as a whole and how I see it. And if you're following me in my 3 weeks of fun in unlocking the time capsule thing that we're doing, just lost words. We are making resin pyramids today. Today's pyramid day. So if you are joining in the fun, I invite you to go make a pyramid, or make anything. I don't care, but make it out of something. I'll just show you what I did. I actually did a post this morning on my pyramid, and I still have it here. I actually made a pyramid. It's not a very good pyramid, but I made a pyramid out of post-it notes. So go make a pyramid out of pillows, clothes. I don't care. Just go make something. Go get creative, because remember, in the creativity, that's where the magic happens, and everything seems a lot easier when we can really sort of tap into that fun and excitedness of who we are and who we really want to be. And I look forward to catching you all tomorrow for another exciting day of waking up and remembering. And as always, any questions, please let me know. I'd be happy to answer them, and I will catch you all tomorrow. Bye.